everyone, welcome back to Liquid Mastery. I'm your host, Kelly Link, and I am joined here by Indu, where you are a writing director for Team Liquid. And I'm really interested in what exactly is a writing director.
I'm gonna be managing a lot of our marketing campaigns that come through me because we have two schools of writing right now, soon to be built into more. We have copywriting and we have editorial. And the copywriters, we're gonna be creating taglines, we're gonna be writing your Liquid Plus experiences, we're gonna be telling you what's up with Liquid, what's the news, what's the marketing, what are the slogans. And the editorial school is going to keep you on track with our pros. This is where you get features of who's joining the team and who's leaving the team and industry news to the best at Liquid.
Indu, how did you become a writer?
My family is really good at telling stories. I was lucky enough to grow up here and in India. And well, India is a different world than preschool and kindergarten in America, that's for sure. And I think the contrast between two worlds and trying to figure out how do I fit in here? That's a story we have to figure out what to do with. So I just started writing. I started writing essays. I started filling out little notebooks with all of these stories. Eventually that just grew into knowing that I had to educate myself about this craft.
Clearly, like, you were a writer from a young age. If you're saying that you were writing essays like from middle school and high school, did you go to college to be a writer?
No, I went to college to be a doctor because that was the only choice. And I think a lot of South Asians might be familiar with this, but it's a household that's not like, oh my God, you're going to be an artist. Thank God. That's not the case.
Right.
So I think it took studying biology and pretty much almost failing organic chemistry to say, I need to take control over my story.
So you're a doctor, you're like, this is not what I want to do, and so you switched your major into writing, and from there, it was like an epiphany, you're like, this is what I should have been doing the whole time?
I think what it gave me is options, and this is what I like to say is whatever you go to college for, it's basically just information. But what you want to do with that information is so broad. So at this point I said, okay, I've taken creative writing classes, I've taken all these religious studies classes, I've covered my computer science, I've covered my pre-med. Now what do I do with all of this? It's hard to find a career as a writer. No one's gonna teach me or hire me to like actually figure out how to do marketing and write for a living. I'll just do it. And I founded an agency called League Made Inc. And that's how I learned what audience segmentation is. How do I get paid for words by actually diving into data and figuring out how to write product copy, how to write for websites, and what does a product design have to do with the social campaign, for example? What are the connections there? And it was a lot of hands-on learning. After this company, I actually learned how to do marketing, and then I got hired to work on League of Legends.
When did that exactly happen?
So they received a cover letter that was just like, I live and breathe this game. Let me write for you. Let me do anything for you, which is thousands, by the way, they receive like that.
Yeah.
Right, and I think what it comes down to is, what I did is I asked a friend of mine to create custom champion, and I wrote their lore and I wrote their skill set just to say, I love this ecosystem and I want to write in it. And I was on League of Legends metagame systems, which is Honor and Clash. Then I worked on Champions for a while, and after that I went to Call of Duty League for a little bit, and then I landed here at Liquid.
But what have you been doing with Team Liquid here recently?
Liquid Plus. So this is really exciting because I come from the product world. I like generating brands and brand voices, and something like an app or a product, it might not be as exciting as a League of Legends champion, right? Wrong, because products make the world move. Liquid Plus is this beautiful love letter to the Team Liquid universe, and being able to develop the tone and the voice of Liquid and how it's friendly and familial, and it's not Team Liquid, the winningest esports Oregon NA, it's Liquid Plus. This is your home. You can come and chill out, you can have a LAN party. That's been really, really rewarding because Liquid Plus has grown in the years since its launch.
Well, I think something that I find very challenging for writing is that with you write, you have a huge audience, and with something like Liquid Plus, you're not just covering the League of Legends team. There's so many teams that Team Liquid represent, so many different games. So how do you write this so that everyone gets a little bit of something?
You hire a copywriter just for Liquid Plus, which is the benefit of building a team, which before I was hired almost 2 years ago, there were no full-time writers at Liquid. The special opportunity here is that Team Liquid is an org that really, if you have ideas and you know what you want to do with them and you say, hey, there's a whole space here where if we had a narrative power, we could build out our shooting worlds and our mobile worlds and we can develop a really Liquid universe. That's a space I want to build into. Some of the narrative we've accomplished here is last year there was a Journey comic that came out that split over split tracked our heroes' progress through League of Legends worlds.
Oh, that's so cool. Through a comic book? So like, did you get to work with them writing that comic book?
Yes, so I worked with one illustrator and a graphic designer, and it was essentially, and a cover artist. So it was a team of 4 that essentially outlined, delivered, and wrote, created, produced the comic. And it's out there. It's tl.gg/journey.
Do you think that this is something that's a bit unique to Team Liquid, which you were saying before that a lot of other esports organizations don't have dedicated writing teams? Or do you think that this is kind of where esports and a lot of this kind of, gaming marketing is going?
I think it's where it's going. And I think a lot of organizations are about where Team Liquid was, in that, do we really need writers? And as soon as you start hiring them, businesses are like, oh yeah, no, we really need these people. And I'm hoping that that does become a trend. I think every esports org deserves a department of writers.
What are some of the differences between copywriting and editorial?
Copywriting is really focused on asking fans to do something in a way where it's pay attention to us, love us, buy this from us. And you'll see a lot of copywriting throughout campaigns. Maybe there's a tagline that you see on a website, and then you also see it on a video, then you also see a tweet about it. That's a copywriter. Editorial is really focused on singular storytelling. So my editorial writer, Austin Ryan, just wrote this legacy piece. Victor has this myth around him, and Austin was able to kind of gather from the origin story all the way until now, what does that mean for Team Liquid, for the organization, and for the industry at large? What does a person like Victor mean? And that is this evergreen content that's going to be on teamliquid.com forever.
I, however, am very into comic books, and I would love to know what are the steps to becoming a narrative writer and how that differs from the other two.
Narrative writing is its really own specific track, in the sense that a lot of narrative writers have degrees in literature, have degrees in English, and they have usually taken really solid courses in story mapping, story design, and people with the education of narrative writers can also transition towards game design, in the sense of this is how a story unfolds over hours and hours and hours of a world. Copywriting is a kind of writing where you can write for vitamins, you can write for tech, you could write for data. Essentially, you can really splash that skill into any industry. Narrative writing, which is essentially creative writing, probably requires a lot more intentionality in what you study and then what jobs you take as well.
What kind of sources are there for the general public that maybe they can't afford to go to college or something and they want to try and find a different avenue into it? What are some of the opportunities that you've taken to expand your writing expertise?
Harvard has online courses pretty much for free across communication, across business management. And what I would tell writers everywhere, because we tend to lean creatively, is understand communicating to stakeholders and understand communicating in the workplace, because whatever craft you have to communicate why that's worth money.
Yeah.
Why somebody's going to pay you to do it. So I would take free courses on any Ivy school that has them for free on communication and comms, as well as anything they have creative. So find the personality where you don't fall asleep after an hour, and then learn everything you can from them.
For those people that want to do that, want to make this their profession, what would you say to them? What's some advice that you could share?
It's really important to know your personal strengths and your personal weaknesses. I will tell you right now, I'm good at writing humor, and I can write some epic things. But if somebody wanted me to do a deep dive on Rocket League, I would be like, okay, I'm gonna have to do a lot of work. And it's not to say that you can and can't do specific types of writing, but knowing where your gaps are and knowing how to close them is really important advice.
Well, especially when you work for someone like Team Liquid, where you don't just have one thing that you write for, right? You write for editorial and copy and for creative. So how does someone kind of work on that? How does someone work on all of these different fields?
You've got to consume those fields. You have to have a bookcase of comics if you want to write comics. You have to, if you enjoy film, you've got to pick out, and actually a lot of our staff here at One Up Studios is really into film, and they learn a lot of what they do from TV and film. I learn a lot of what I do from young adult fiction, and really figuring out what speaks to you, what makes you spark, what's the kind of writing that you feel really good about. And when you find writing that you feel really good about, master it. Just focus in on that thing that you feel like you're really good at. And when you're good at that, start to branch out into things that you're less good at. I've told you a lot about writing, copywriting, narrative writing, editorial writing, and I know that you dabble in writing as well. So what if we took one of your ideas and did a writing exercise with it?
I'm down if you are.
Let's go.
Clearly, we have a giant sheet of paper right in front of us, but we need to talk about what we're going to be writing about.
Your product that you designed, that you're launching, Kelly the Inventor, and we're going to create a tagline for your product.
So I played Dungeons and Dragons, and there is a tabletop RPG for Cyberpunk, as you guys probably have heard of that game before. And one of the classes in it is an inventor, and this person gets to come up with little objects and products that affect the game. So I created this tiny little octopus called Blubbo, which stands for Biotech's latest undetectable baby octopus. Blubbo is a little tiny octopus that sneaks around for you, and it has some similar traits to a real octopus, such as it can fit into very small spaces. So if you have a locked door, it could squeeze underneath the door for you and go and retrieve things, but only small little objects. It can also go invisible, or a cloak, like most octopi have that ability.
So what I've done here, Kelly, is as you're telling me about Blubbo, there's words that you're saying that really stand out to me. Blubbo's from a fantasy world. Blubbo is sneaky, maybe retrieve little things, has invisibility, special ops. You're asking me, who is this for? Do I market this for the steampunk world? Let's say that your steampunk world is already a game.
In this game, my character that I played did invent this, and other people were able to purchase this. So let's say instead of me selling it to the real world, I'm my character and I'm selling this in the character world.
You're selling this in the character world. All right. To sell Blubbo in your world, Blubbo needs a campaign. So basically, we want to figure out, I'm going to say, hear ye, you need Blubbo, the sneakiest octopus around. That's not a great tagline.
No.
But you're starting somewhere. You're starting with telling somebody this is, at minimum, an octopus. What would you expand from there?
Well, don't you have someone that you want to spy on? Don't you yourself have people that you need to investigate?
Don't you want to spy? Which I really liked. So I'm gonna add a question mark.
Okay.
So Blubbo's really for sneaky people. I'm gonna circle sneaky. It's for people who like the concept of invisibility. And it's probably for people who are doing something out of the public eye.
It's very cute.
Very cute.
And very small.
Cute. Is Blubbo dangerous?
Yes.
Oh!
There is what I found in the campaign is that Blubbo has a secret weapon into it where one of its tentacles can turn into a small laser and blind people.
Danger! We love this. We love this little dangerous dude. How do we get to the core of this thing? Danger you can't see. This is a sentence that's coming to mind. A lot of times working on paper gives you the flexibility to see where you're like, I don't love that, and just kind of let your ideas go free. What makes sense for your marketing now? Are you gonna make a trailer about Blubbo? Are you gonna make apparel with Blubbo? Whatever your audience wants, there's gonna be two schools of thought. Do they want cute but deadly, or do they want to never leave home without Blubbo?
Right.
And then you take those houses and build them out further.
All right, this was a lot of fun and a lot more chaotic than I thought it was going to be, but I definitely think we came up with the perfect tagline for Blubbo. The next time I play Cyberpunk, I'm definitely going to be using it. Indu, thank you again so much, and obviously to all of you watching, thank you guys, and Indu, I can't wait to see what you write next.
Thanks so much, Kelly. This was awesome.